Web is in theaters right now, guys, and I gotta tell you, is it a good movie? No, it's not a good movie. Is it a terrible, one of the worst movies of the year? Stink it up? Well, that's what a lot of people are going to be telling you, and it's hard to argue with some of their points. The problem with me, guys, is I've seen a lot of movies. I am a big movie fan. So while some people have not gone out and seen movies like Argyle or Lisa Frankenstein, Night Swim, then if like Madame Web is one of the 5 movies you see of the year, then yes, Madame Web is going to be one of the worst movies of the year. Unfortunately, I see a lot of movies, guys. Madame Web is not one of the movies out there that is one of the worst movies of the year, despite the tomato meter readings of 15%, 59% by the audience. Indeed, that is some low ratings. And, well, we'll take a look at the snapshot reviews here in a moment. But I am pretty much like everybody else where I don't know why this movie was made. If it's not going to be ever connected to Spider-Man, then I don't know what's the point going forward. And people say, well, James, Joker worked well with Joaquin Phoenix. Is that not the same case here? Definitely not. Because while Dakota Johnson is a good actress, so is Sydney Sweeney and all the other girls that are in the film with her. I'm intrigued with these other characters, but it's kind of like the dialogue and the script really lets them down. And I think I have to fault the directing for this from S.J. Clarkson, who, when I go and look at her resume, she has a lot of credits that are TV credits. And this is her first big, movie. And while you do have some stuff under your belt, TV-wise, I think I would have preferred to see her start off with something a little bit smaller, like an indie project. Of course, if somebody calls her up and says, "Hey, direct this big movie, Madame Web," as somebody in your career, you say, "Yes, I'm going to do that." The thing is that because you're new to the big game, you're going to get walked all over by executives, and I think that is proved when you watch this movie. I talk about this in the short that's going to get published later on too, about the writers that just seem to be failing upwards. When you make a stinker, when you write something like Gods of Egypt or Morbius, let's give you another one. Let's give you another big project to work on. Oh, this person also wrote The Last Witch Hunter, that terrible and awful movie with Vin Diesel that just, I'll talk about sticking up the box office. I don't understand this concept in Hollywood where if you fail, let's give you another one, but even more, with more money involved in it. It's like, what? Why? How? How does this person still get work? It's frustrating, and I want to pull my hair out, and I'm with everybody on board that when you watch the opening and you're like, this is terrible dialogue. But oddly enough, I would say that it was the opening of the movie that started off really strong for Madame Web, despite that clunky dialogue. It sets things up perfectly in a standard 3-act kind of structure. This is the first act. Here's our main players. Here's the bad guy. Okay, here's the scenario. Now here's the rest of the movie. And it's kind of like, that's a cohesive narrative, guys. That's at least an arc of some kind where you're looking at the story wheel and you're trying to fit it all in, and that's a cohesive narrative. Now, the narrative in this movie sucks, but it's kind of like, I can't fault it for that. So if somebody said that they enjoyed it, okay, I can understand perhaps why, but I was like, I didn't hate this movie, but I'm also never going to watch this movie ever again. That's what you need to know going in. Now, let's go over to the preliminary score sheet and fill in some numbers here and see where we're aiming at here. Acting, directing, story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point. Now, cohesively overall, guys, I would give acting a full 1 point. I'm going to give directing. I'm going to give directing a 1 point. Sorry, just had to mess that up. I'm faulting the directing for a lot of the way that the story unfolded, but I know you could tell that there was a lot of studio interference in this one. The story overall, her as a character is interesting, with her being able to see the future and stuff like that, and change course and stuff like that, that opens up like a minefield of like really interesting ideas that you could go down for, like explore the where does this foresight, what are the implications of all that. That's a fascinating thing. So I'd just give middle of the road there for scores. Cinematography and score, they were serviceable. So we're sitting around at 4. Now, we haven't done the watchability factor yet. Um, right now, we're sitting 4 out of 10. That's higher than Lisa Frankenstein. I think that's about the same ballpark as what Night Swim was, right? So is it the worst movie of the year by default? No, it's not, guys. It's not. So let's go over to the tomato meter and see if we can try to wrap this up with some kind of cohesive watchability factor. Obviously, if you're a Dakota Johnson fan, you're going to check this out. If you are Sydney Sweeney, which I am, if you're a Sydney Sweeney fan and you want to see some of her work, you've never seen her do anything before, then this will be for you. To go out and say, oh, okay. I highly doubt that there's any Madame Web fans out there that'll be like, oh, I'm sure that there's got to be at least 20 of them in North America. Right? Let's take a look at what some of the snapshot reviews say. From Slate, who liked it. It's a travesty, a disaster, blight on the history of superheroes and cinema itself. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So even when somebody liked it, they said that, yeah, it's not good. Like the ingredients seem to say that it could be good, but it's just in its execution fails. New York Times, Madame Web is a dud, but it's one that Johnson transcends long before the final credits roll. And there's no mid-credit scene or anything like that, guys, so don't stick around for that. Screen Crush, it doesn't take a clairvoyance to see this franchise has no future. Okay, that's where I want to stop for a second here, guys. This is a movie where the bandwagon of like hate is just going to surround, and it's going to be like the knee-jerk reaction of every kind of reviewer out there to be kind of like, well, it sucks. So that's what people want to hear, even without seeing the movie. And that's on us as movie fans. Well, you haven't seen it. But I want to be part of this bandwagon that seems to be really rolling, and it's so much fun to trash this movie. Guys, trust me, I've seen terrible and bad movies. Madame Web is not the horrible monstrosity that some of you or some of these people will want to. And I'm not like some of them people out there. Yes, you're entitled to have your own opinions, but I'm not somebody who will just blindly follow the trend of trashing something. Trust me, I trash my fair share of movies. Go and watch my reviews for Lisa Frankenstein, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. When a movie doesn't have a cohesive circle, when the acting is so hammy and over the top, and the directing is so choppy, trust me, I pick movies apart. This is what I do. So when I say that it's not as bad as some people say, it's not great either. I'll concede that it's not great. But it's kind of like, it's not the monstrosity that some people will have you believe. So let's wrap this up. Let's go over and fill in my watchability factor and see where this stands. So as I said, if you got curiosities about the cast, if you got curiosities about Sony and like you liked Morbius and you liked Venom and you want to see Kraven the Hunter and you want to know where this is going to land, then this is worth maybe checking out once. If you want to see why people are saying it's so terrible, then maybe it's worth checking out. So it's all middle of the road for me, 5 out of 10. And I think that's probably where I'm going to stand with Madame Web. Because as I said, I didn't hate it, but I'm never probably going to watch this movie again. I can't fathom a reason why I would sit down and watch Madame Web ever again. 5 out of 10. I'd like to see her show up in other movies, but I don't know if it's not going to do well at the box office. It's going to go up against Bob Marley, One Love, which also is being not treated fairly well by the critics, but the audiences seem to be resonating with it. So Madame Web, guys, 5 out of 10. What do you guys think? Do you agree with some of the things that I've said? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. People have already said that, oh, I'm somebody who likes a bad movie. Hey, remember, it's all subjective. I'll give you good reasons why I don't like something and why I do like something and why I give some things a pass. But yeah, bad dialogue in here for sure. And you'll know that when you first start watching, like the first opening scene with the ambulance. You'll understand. But there's some interesting ideas in there. There's a scene in there where she's like having a vision of her mother, and I started to feel it in here. So it does have some redeeming qualities in there. It just wasn't executed all that well overall. All right, that's all I got for Madame Web, guys. What did you think about it? If you like this kind of stuff, come join us here on Mirror Domains, because aside from movie reviews like that for like Lisa Frankenstein and uh, Madame Web, we've got trailer reactions for things like Kong and Godzilla, the new Empire trailer that just dropped, Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, Millie Bobby Brown's new movie, Damsel, new trailer reactions up on there for Wicked, Ariana Grande, A Quiet Place Day 1 trailers, and we watch full movies like Society of Snow, and of course we do movie news throughout the week, where we talk about all the trending movie news headlines of the day. Hey, if you like movies and all this kind of stuff, come join us here on Mirror Domains. You'll like what I have to say, because I'm fair. I'm fair, at least, right? Yes? No? Yes? See you next time, right here on Mirror Domains. All right, so that'll be cut out and put up on the channel later on. Now, bring up the chat. I think only Bifer's here right now. So you said my choice. James' reaction to Madame Web, pain, misery, and dread. Yeah. But Madame Web gave us a good opportunity to examine exactly what's going on here with the zeitgeist of just kind of like that bandwagon hate of just kind of like, why are you trashing a movie if you've never seen it before, dudes? If you've never seen the movie, because it's the popular thing to do. But come on. It's something that just gets under my skin when you see this kind of like, well, if you want to be popular, James, you got to come out and say that the movie's terrible and awful and one of the worst things that you've ever seen all year. But that's not true. Lisa Frankenstein and Night Swim are much more terrible than this. So, yeah, it's a good time to examine the kind of like the knee-jerk responses from some people, the casual fan bases that are just like, I don't mean to step on anybody's fingers there with that. It's just, hey, we got to call it as it is. So